Hey there, friend. I'm thrilled that you've decided to join me each week here on the podcast as I read through the Inventory Genius book. Now, if you're anything like me, you're going to put these principles into practice so much more quickly if you highlight, underline, and put dates beside each actionable step. So if you haven't grabbed your paper copy of the Inventory Genius book yet, I want to encourage you to head on over to ciarastockeland.com and grab your copy. I'm so excited to sign it and drop it in the mail for you. I want you to have that paper copy in front of you as you listen each week to each chapter I read. This way, as things stand out to you, as you have questions, as you have thoughts, and as you decide to take action, you can highlight, underline, and follow along in the paper copy as you listen to me read each chapter. So head on over to ciarastockeland.com, grab your copy, I'll sign it, and I'll drop it in the mail. Now back to the podcast. Hey friend, welcome to the Inventory Genius podcast, where we work together here to make you an inventory genius. We talk about profit, we talk about cash flow, and we definitely talk about your paycheck. Because at the end of the day, it's all related to your inventory. Let's go. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the Inventory Genius podcast. I am your host, Ciara. And I have a guest here today who actually does have inventory, so I guess she fits. But I'm really excited because I am interviewing my triathlon coach today. And we're going to talk about coaching, what makes a good coach, what makes a good coaching client. And I just am really super pumped for this episode. I actually did my hair. I don't have a triathlon hat on. I'm not wearing a t-shirt. I am like, and my coach Hillary is also dressed up, which, neither of us usually find ourselves looking like this. So we are here and we are ready to chat. And I'm so excited to have you, Hillary.
Yay, I'm so excited to be here. And you do look very extra cute today, I must say.
Oh, thank you. I'm in my festive attire today.
I love it. It's very cute.
Yeah.
Is it a sweater or what is that?
It
It's
is.
very cute.
Yeah, it's a sweater from one of my clients. I try to shop. I'm always watching their Instagram feeds and I try to support them. And I saw this come across my feed a couple of weeks ago. So I messaged her and I'm like, do you have my size? I have to have that. So
It's so cute. I
it's
love
so
it.
fun. All right. So you're my triathlon coach. I wrote down in my notes here, you're very intense, which I'm sure you've heard that before. But I feel like most of your clients are pretty intense
Yeah.
too. We tend to be kind of intense people when we do
Yep.
Ironman kind of stuff. I want to know a little bit about you first. Like, tell us who you are other than 63 Ironman you've done.
66.
66. Okay. And some ultra Ironman races, which you did really well at. Tell us your background. Like, how did you get into this sport?
Okay. And I have to apologize up front for I don't usually sound like a frog, but I've been battling something for a week, and I went in the midst of this. I went to support some of our athletes at a big half Ironman race on Sunday. And it was such an exciting race, and I screamed my brains out for probably like 3 hours of it. And so this is my current state. So just know that this is the price of the job. But yeah, I don't usually sound like this. So my background, I grew up swimming competitively, and did so from the age of 8 to the age of 22. I was fortunate to swim at the University of Southern California on a swimming scholarship, and swim in the Olympic trials in 2000, just after I graduated from college. And that was the sort of natural end of my swimming career. I wasn't good enough to be a professional swimmer or to like make the Olympic team. I was thrilled to be a participant at the trials and support some of my best friends and teammates who did go on to the games in Sydney. But that was a natural end to my swimming career. And I, my whole life had sort of been shaped and revolved around the discipline and constant goal setting and chasing of, the swimming. And I knew like, or, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that I needed a next thing, for nothing else than my mental health. It was very, very obvious. And so, before I even had my last race on, which I believe August 13th, 2000, I had been scouring like race, at the time it was like sort of the internet, sort of like
Yeah.
magazines and like the back page of like Trail Runner magazine or whatever. And
Yep.
Runner's World, like the race calendars, and set my sights on a marathon that December. And I had done like relatively little running to that point, but
But swimmers typically aren't runners. That's what Bella
no,
tells me anyway. Swimmers
yeah,
don't
no,
run. Yeah.
not typically. And I had done, call it 3 miles 3 times a week during various stints of my college career when I would be put in the quote unquote fat group. When you got put in
Yep.
the fat group, you were, made to run before morning practice. It was this like punishment thing, but I actually loved it. I found it so fun. So I knew I enjoyed it. I wasn't like particularly fast or anything, but I loved the feeling that it gave me. And so I set on my sights on this like marathon in December. And I remember like the morning after my last race, waking up in Indianapolis. It was like the final days of the Olympic trials and going out and like, I don't know what all I know is it felt really, really hot. It was Midwest summer humidity. And I was like, okay, I'm going for my run. And I hadn't run in many months at this time. And I was like, 30 minutes, I'm going to run 30 minutes today. This is what I'm doing. And it was just like, I knew I had like no time to pause. Like I needed to like start the next thing immediately. And so I remember just like barely surviving a 30-minute run in the summer heat. And that was the beginning. Like I trained for that marathon. I ran side by side with my best friend, crossed the finish line holding hands. It was also her first marathon. Wonderful
Love it.
experience. Um, I ran my first 50 miler the next month, as you do.
As you do, Hillary, as you do.
And
Yeah.
so when I finished like 9 hours of running and the 50 miler, my cousin proposed that we do an Ironman that fall. And he had never done an Ironman. He's 9 years older. He was a Navy SEAL. But he said, well, he's a badass. And he proposed this. And I was like, you know what? I just ran for 9 hours. Like I can for sure do 3 sports for like, I don't know, 13, 14 hours, how long it's going to take me. So
Yep.
we entered Ironman Florida. We did it together. And so I did my first Ironman at 23, I guess. And yeah, that was the beginning of like a whole career. Basically, I spent I ended up in graduate school at USC and teaching the undergrads there. I was in a doctoral program and I became, started pursuing triathlon more and more seriously, was really burning the candle at both ends, trying to do this super intense academic program and compete like at the sort of elite end of amateur racing and Ironman. And eventually made a decision like, 2.5 years into my PhD program, I exercised my right to take a leave of absence. They gave us 2 years. We could return at any time in good standing. I said, I'm just going to take this chance now. I could do academics till I'm 80. I only really have a limited window, like age wise, probably to pursue professional triathlon. So I got my pro card and thought I'm just going to see what I can do. And I gave myself 2 years. Like if I'm not able to support myself and have success in 2 years, I need to come back to this. And I loved what I was doing at university. It was actually a really tough choice to make, but that was 2005. And here we are 18 years later, haven't looked back. And, I raced professionally for 10 years and coached all through that, but really sort of towards the latter years of my racing career, built the coaching into kind of what I would call like a proper business with other women working for me and coaching kind of more athletes. In the beginning, it was like just a handful. And that was something I never let go of, even when I, didn't need the extra income or whatever. And I was racing, really well and a lot and well sponsored. But I always, always, always loved coaching. It was always my passion. And so built this into like, I guess, a real business, especially over the latter years of my career in racing. And here we are today. I feel very fortunate to get to do what I love. And it's like, I always feel so funny when I tell my kids that I'm like working, because it seems like the wrong word to use for what I do.
Yeah.
But I don't know what else to call it, like for them to understand that this, like, it's serious and I do need like time to myself, but it still feels really weird to call it a job.
Yeah. I remember hearing you on, I think it was Haley Ciara's podcast, maybe, right when you started with Bella, my daughter. I was like trying to learn all the things about you. And I remember you said you really were intentional about building your coaching career while you were still a pro triathlete so that you could build that following. I was like, that is a smart lady. She's so smart. I need to talk to her about this. So you were really intentional, even when you didn't necessarily need it, to set yourself up for success when you did want that path.
Yeah.
Um, Tell me about your first coaching client. How did you get your
Gosh.
first coaching client?
Brandon Del Campo. I remember Brandon Del Campo. I mean, we are still in touch. He's so rad. Um, I actually started coaching. It's so funny to be telling these stories because I haven't thought about this stuff for a long time, but I'm in the midst of teaching a course to other endurance coaches. And so,
Yep.
and a number of them are really just getting started, just wanting to get started. And so I brought myself back to how I got started and trying to to help them and talk about how small we start and that kind of thing. And,
Yeah.
um, when I first left the university and that was my income. Like I was on a teaching fellowship. I got paid a monthly stipend to teach. Like that was how I supported myself. And so to leave that all, not that it was, you're still still barely scraping by, but that was a job. And
Yeah.
to leave that, I knew I needed the idea in leaving that was to allow more time for training and to pursue triathlon more seriously. But I knew I needed something to subsidize my income. And I had a fellow pro friend who now is a very big name in the coaching business. His name's Matt Dixon. He owns Purple Patch Fitness.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And he and I were training buddies. He was a pro back in the day as well in LA. We were training buddies. And he worked at this. He coached through a clinic, a local clinic there, kind of a PT. It was really kind of ahead of its time. It was like a very niche, like personal training, physical therapy. They did like blood lactate testing and all that stuff. Little clinic, and they offered one-on-one swimming lessons and triathlon coaching. And he had a job there, so he was like, "You got to come here. You can totally teach swimming, and I'll teach you how to be a triathlon coach." And
Yep.
so that was where I started. So I was contracted out through this little boutique training facility in Santa Monica. And that was my first clients came from. And it was still like virtual coaching because I would meet my clients in person every so often there, but the nature of triathlon coaching is such that you're still prescribing workouts that they're going off and doing on their own. You're not there for their
Yeah.
actual workouts. But yeah, I worked through that clinic, and then later at the end of that year, I packed all my things up in the States and put everything in storage and moved abroad to follow my coach, who was the first real coach that I had ever hired, and moved to Europe. And so at that point I took my coaching on my own and have been on my own since then. But Brandon Del Campo came to me through Phase 4. He was a former collegiate runner at UCLA. He was only a couple years older than I was, and he wanted to see what he could do in triathlon. And I mean, and I probably only coached him for I don't know, a year and a half, but our paths crossed so many times. He became a very elite age grouper, racing Kona, probably almost could have gone pro. But we met up back then, years later when I was racing pro. We met up in Wanaka, New Zealand, and we were there for the challenge full iron distance race there. We spent time together in New Zealand. When I was abroad, he stayed and did training camps in Tucson and stayed in my house. I was just go make yourself at home. We're just buddies, since then. Crazy. And so, and he hasn't done, that guy hasn't done a triathlon in, probably 15 years, but yeah, it was and I still, another couple that was one of my first clients also, who are long since retired from triathlon. They're a married couple, first married couple of many that I've coached. And, they were at our wedding, and we still see them when we're in LA, and they're just dear friends. And yeah, it is really so much more than a job. These people are just
Yeah.
they become so important in my life. And that's I don't think that's necessarily the way that everyone does it, but that's the only way that I know how to do it. And to me is really one of the key things in making a good coach, I think.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah,
have
I
to
was gonna
on
ask you
that
about that.
level.
I feel like that's how I just wrote this down kind of in my journal this morning as I try to do quiet time and just think about my business and what's my secret sauce. And I feel like for me,
that's mine too. Like I go to my people and I'm like, how many business coaches go? But there's just something about seeing a person in person, understanding their environment and their own needs and their desires, their individual goals, instead of just here's a blanket to like how to do it. I mean, you have a framework for how you coach us, but then it's also individualized.
Yeah.
So that was my question, like what makes a good coach? And I don't think it has to be triathlon coach, but I mean just a good coach, like
Yeah.
someone that's going to help someone achieve a goal. What's the components to someone that can do that well?
So yeah, this is exactly, these are exactly the things that I spelled out on our first call with this course that I'm coaching. And it's I truly think that the biggest the biggest part of the equation, and this sounds so obvious, and I'm going to put it just in a really like, not polite way, but I simply giving a shit, like really giving a shit, really
Yeah.
truly. And that that sounds like, well, of course, but
Yeah.
I mean, the majority of our clients are not hiring a coach for the first time. Some of them are, but the majority of our clients are coming to us from somewhere else. And
Yeah.
so we get so many opportunities to look into people's previous experiences and hear about them. And like, I mean, I often get to look at the training programs people were doing.
And I bet you're like, what the heck is what is
I mean,
that?
truly, it's like, I mean, don't get me wrong, there are plenty of great coaches out there, but the number of coaches who are clearly A, not paying attention, B, not caring enough, C, not caring. I don't know why you're in this job, honestly, because it's really not
Yeah.
that lucrative. I mean, you can do well if you really, 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 really work hard, but there are things you can make a lot more money doing and probably work
Yes.
a lot less. So that's interesting. And so it's just like what I told the women that I'm working with is really like, I said to all of them, like, all of you guys right now, because a lot of them they're new and they're dealing with imposter syndrome and that kind of thing. And I said, you guys, I can tell you right now that you are all like head and shoulders above probably 50% of people who call themselves triathlon coaches, because you have all invested resources and time to be in this course to learn how to better your skills. So that right there tells me that you like really care, right?
Yeah.
You're here to learn. Like, I'm not giving them that, like people do their USA Triathlon, their Ironman, so they can get their certification. I'm not offering a certification. Like, they are just there to like spend these weeks and hours and a significant amount of money with me to learn things. And so I'm like, you guys right there, like, I know you guys are going to be great because you really, really care. That's the biggest thing. Really, really caring. And I tell, like, the way I like to think about it is I want each and every one of our athletes to feel seen, heard, loved, and challenged. And that fourth piece is another. I mean, all those three pieces are pieces that are missing when coaches just don't care enough, right? But the fourth piece is another big thing that I think when I'm writing a plan for an athlete, like every single week of the year, I am looking at like, what one little thing or maybe many things are we doing this week to move the needle? And what that takes for each athlete is all over the map. And so that's why you can't just give everybody, that's why everything has to be so individualized. And, when we're in the pool, I'm like constantly tweaking. Okay, now we're going to go hundreds on 155. Now we're going to go on 150. Now we're going to that for each athlete. And like, how can we push it a little more? Whereas we have athletes who come to us and every single swim workout they do is just like, rest 20 seconds, do this pace, rest 20 seconds, rest. And I'm like, no, like, take the time to figure out your athletes, like paces and whatever, and assign them to the point where they're like, ooh, like yesterday, that treadmill workout you did, Ciara, it was
I did, and I was like,
it was like last week was like really breezy. I'm like, okay, I'm going to up this like 2 to 3 notches. Whereas it would have been like one little notch. I'm like, nah, she's ready for like, based on how last week went. And like, that is a piece that I see missing really, really a lot, is like, which is so odd to me, because to me as a coach, like, your point is to like make this person better, to challenge them, because how else do you get better, right? But I see a lot of, I don't know, I just see a lot of people out there who are just like assigning exercise routines or something. I don't know, it's interesting. So to me, those are like the really key pieces.
Yeah, just caring and then understanding how to push
Yep.
without breaking someone,
Yeah.
like, so you didn't tell me I had to do the whole 6 miles at 8-minute pace,
Yeah.
thank goodness, because I would have died, like, I wouldn't have been able to do it probably.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I could have, maybe, but I was like, while I was running, I was like, "This is so hard. Oh, I'm at my half mile and I still have to go another quarter." And then I hear you in my head, like, your job, like, my job this year is to teach you how to feel uncomfortable. I was like, "Well, I'm feeling uncomfortable,"
Yeah.
but you also talk through that with us, like, "Here's what we need to work on." And it's just all about, I don't know, I think people are lazy. I think a lot of people that call themselves coaches, consultants, they're just they're lazy. They don't wanna do the work, they just wanna make money to have conversations or to write plans.
Which
So,
is just like, it's so, I don't know. It's just like so odd to me.
I know,
I'm just not wired that way. Like, what
I
do you
know.
do in life? Like
But
what?
I think when we care, that's why it's odd, because we care and we're like, we
Right.
want our people to succeed. They came to us for a reason. So what makes a good coaching client?
So a good coaching client is, well, quite what coaches call someone who's coachable, um,
Yeah,
which is, and this is often something that we really have to spell out with new clients, especially ones who came from elsewhere where the coaches don't care like we do. And they kind of would just like mess around with their plans, move things around, kind of like
yep,
improvise, like, and what we try to train people to, how we try to train people to operate is, no, like we want you to be able to follow this plan that we're writing like to the letter. And if there's some reason why you can't, like let us know and let us adjust it for you. So it's someone that, I mean, but the example that my best triathlon coach always used to give was, if it's like if I tell in his brusque Australian words was, if I tell you to eat an SHIT sandwich every day at 11 a.m., you say, like, would you like that to be hard or soft? Like that's it. Like it's just like,
yep,
and I that's a coachable athlete, right? It's just like doesn't matter what you're asking. They're just like the only question they're going to ask is like a specific about like like how exactly can I execute this perfectly? Like what exactly do you want this to be perfect? And
yep,
so that is the dream, right? Is someone who can just absolutely like can and will absolutely follow the plan to the letter. And now, part of why we do what we do and people don't just buy a spreadsheet off the internet is because life happens, illness happens, especially in the kind of, you know, like distances and such that we're pursuing. Injuries happen, niggles happen. And so the key is to, it's not that we expect our athletes to be robots and just always be able to do schedule as written, but it's the communication about eek. I mean, Ciara you had this week. Oh my gosh, my work week is nuts on these days. I need to
yeah.
move this day to this day, this day to this day. And this time of year, this is like a really easy time for us to do that, get things.
Yeah, I knew I'd probably get a yes on that one, but I
Yeah.
also knew I needed
Yeah.
to ask. I would
Yes.
never dare
Which
do
is
it,
great.
without asking.
Which is
Yeah,
great. Yeah. Yeah. And so it's just, we're there to help people adjust when things go awry or life happens. And so it's someone who is a great communicator, right? Like it's what helps me so much is not only someone who's going to do everything they can to execute the plan as written, but someone who is going to send me feedback every single workout every day. Like I always tell people, no such thing as too much information. The more info I have, the more better I can understand what's going on. So I tell my clients, like, I don't just want to hear like I ran, 6 miles at 10-minute pace. Like it felt easy, whatever, fine. But like, that's a basic workout. But on other days, say maybe when you really struggled and you just say, oh, this workout sucked. I missed and I couldn't hit the paces. Just felt really crappy. But the person leaves out the fact that like they were up arguing with their spouse till midnight, or they have stress at home, or they have a kid sick. They were up all night. And now I'm like, okay, this person's also probably getting sick. Things I need to know, because
yeah,
otherwise I think, oh, they had a couple workouts. Maybe they're tired from the other workouts I've given them, not from life or not from stress. And so all those other pieces are so important because the training doesn't exist in a vacuum. And I need to understand, in order for me to understand how my training is impacting the athlete, I need to know about all the other external factors in their lives, because those are also impacting the training.
Yeah.
And so I always say, like, don't ever worry that your log is too long. More info is better. And I love that. Like, the more timely people can give me feedback and the more information they can give me, the better I can help them. And that also, like, when I'm getting the day-to-day feedback from my athletes, like, some people wait 4 days and log all their workouts from 4 days, which is terrible, because if we started getting sick or whatever, then I couldn't jump in and help and
Yeah.
like tweak things around. 4 days in, you're like, your fate is sealed. You're either sick or you're not. But like, that, and I feel, this is something I was talking about with the coaches I'm working with the other day too. It's like, I really struggle when I'm reading days of feedback. I like to feel like I'm like in the zone with my athlete. Like, I like to
Yeah.
be able to think about any one of my athletes today and like know what they're doing. Like, I'm like, okay, Alyssa, she's in Vegas right now with her parents. Her workouts are in a gym today. That's what she's doing. I want to be able to pop anyone into my head and like know where they are and what they're doing. But when I don't hear from someone for like 4 days at a time, I'm not like in the zone with them. Then I get
Yeah.
my
So then it's
update,
hard
I'm
for us
catching
as
up.
coaches to like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I just want to be like really like always like, because this is why I only coach 25 people. Like, I really, that's the amount of people that I can really like be in sync with. But if the updates are like not complete or they're so sporadic, I feel like I don't feel like I'm in the zone. I
Yeah.
like to be in the zone.
Yeah. So a
Yeah.
good coaching client, I mean, coachable, which we hear, but you explained what that means. They take feedback, they give feedback,
Yeah.
they trust the process. So I want to talk to you about what does that mean? Because
Yeah.
everyone loves to throw that
Yeah.
out there. Trust the
Yeah.
process. What does trusting the process
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. So that's a great one. And I'm glad you like mentioned it. Well, I mean, I guess that was implicit in my first comment about just like eat the shit sandwich at 11 a.m. every day, no problem. But um, like, okay, trust the process means that, like, really, I mean, it's just, I cannot emphasize this enough. If you're going to take the leap and sign on with a coach, you have to just decide that you're going all in. And it's just all, and it's not to say that you can't ask questions like, what is the purpose of this workout? Like, I don't mind that. Like, if someone's asked me that too much in a challenging way, I'm kind of like, I don't know why you're here, but for informational purposes, fine, totally fine. Some people like to know, some people don't care, some people just want to do it, which is great also. Um, so it's that, it's like, if you're going to sign on, you have to decide that like you are going to trust that person and go all in. You have, like, the more you can go all in, the better results you're going to have. Because there are, no matter what you're doing, there's kind of like a million different ways to skin the cat. So you've got to choose that. You've got to decide, I'm going with this coach, I'm going with this methodology. And again, the methodology, like, the methodology is somewhat, is different to a degree for all of my athletes, but I'm trusting this person, right? And their knowledge and wisdom, etc. And so it's that. And then it's also, especially with what we do, it's committing, that one of the other things that I think when I'm talking to potential new athletes coming to me, one thing that will always, always, always be a selling point for me is someone who's coming from a coach they've been with like 6 years, So it's people who get that this is like not an overnight thing. This
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
for what we do, it's like, I mean, some of my best athletes have been with me for like 10, 11, 12 years. Because the more time that you spend working with someone, the better you get to know them, the more you can help them. And there just really is no replacement for like all of that time. And that kind of like background. So
Yeah.
that's the other big thing, is people who are like not looking to like, oh yeah, I want you to like fix me or like make me a champion like next month or this
Yeah.
year, or people who have an idea of like that is like, that's a big, and are committed to, and also people who are really committed to the process of learning, to the process of growing. And like, of course, everybody has like, it's important to have goals, absolutely, but like, but it is about, for them, the it's very much not just about that. It's about they enjoy like, kind of like I talked about with myself, like I needed to have another pursuit after swimming, like, because I know that I need this piece in my life, like this chasing of some kind of athletic goal. So, and it's people like that are just, they're doing this because they love the process.
Yeah.
And again, that says nothing about them not being focused or goal oriented, but it's just for them having this thing in their lives is just as an essential. Like that's most people that I coach are just, this is what they do. This is a lifestyle. This is not like a one-off. I'm going to go to my bucket list race and see you later. That's like that. I don't, some of my coaches that work for me will coach that kind of athlete, like because of my limited spots. And that I would much rather work with people that I'm going to be with for like many years. Cause that's just a better use of my time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that made me think of like, if someone comes to me, they come to me for one of two reasons. Either like I'm making lots of sales, but I don't know where the money's going, or I have a lot of debt. Those are the two things. And I'm sure you have certain things people come to you with that you start to hear. And so that made me think, yes, we want to pay off the debt. That's the big goal. Like, let's pay off the debt. That would feel so good. But the good clients are the ones that say, but in the process of paying off debt, I want to figure out how I got here in the first place. I want to better my business in other areas. I want to become versus like just pay off the debt, because that doesn't last. Like that's really painful to pay off debt. And so if we don't have like a bigger purpose, we're going to fizzle out. So that's interesting. Yeah. So talk to me about this. This is what I'm kind of trying to, and I've talked to you about this before when we were in Coeur d'Alene and we were just chatting about business stuff. I have this desire to figure out the best mind to coach. Like what makes you could give me a plan, you could give another lady a plan. One of us will succeed, one of us won't. I can do the same framework, I give the same information to people over and over and over. I create the same budget.
Wow.
So this idea of being, I'm whittling it down. I think it's committed versus interested.
Yeah. I mean, yes. I mean, there are a lot of people that come to us, I would say less to me, but more to some of the women who work for me, but who are interested in the idea of like, they love the idea of being an Ironman. They love the idea of being a triathlete. And I told, again, as another thing we talked about in our course, like almost everyone will write the same kind of thing on their intake sheet that I send that's like, why do you do this? And it's like, I love to push myself, da, da, da. But actually a lot of people what's interesting is a lot of people who do this, because it seems like a really hard thing, don't love to push themselves. They think they do, but they don't really when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
And those people actually can be good triathletes because thankfully for Ironman, you have to go at like a steady, hard pace all day. So you actually, if you like to exercise and you exercise a lot and you can commit to a lot of hours, like you can still be pretty good, even if you don't like love to suffer. But then there are people who are interested in the idea of being a triathlete and just don't want to put the work in. Like this, so person A, likes will put the work in because it's what they do. They're an exerciser. But person B likes the idea of it, doesn't want to put the work in at all. Like you can't get them to train 10 hours in a week to save their life. So this is just not going to fly. We have those two people too, and those people come and go. But commitment versus interest. Yes. And I think, I
do you think someone can move from interest to commitment? Or do you think it's, we're getting deep here.
Yeah.
Just because when you would look at, like, you've had a lot of clients. I've had a lot of clients.
Yep.
You've seen a lot of athletes. I've seen a ton of business owners. And you see those that it's like, they just win. They win. What is it in their mind that makes, and winning might not mean first place. Winning could be they show up every time, they complete, they keep progressing, right? Like winning means different things, but it's just, I'm curious, trying to figure it all out.
Yeah. I think the people that have the most, like the people that I see have the most success. And I have a few people in my mind right now, many of whom they are the people that are like, they do, they do everything I ask, and they are always thinking ahead to like, okay, like what other things can I be doing in my life to like be better? I mean, literally like, should I be having like 0 drinks a week or 2? Like things like that, like literally. And And it's funny because I'll have people come to me who want to talk about things like that. Like, and I look at their log and they've completed like 70% of the last week's workouts. And I'm like, whether you have 0 drinks or 2, or you have your green smoothie at 7 a.m. or 10 a.m. makes no difference. Like, first of all,
Yeah.
do the work. Second of all, we'll talk about details. But
Yes.
it's actually usually those people who want to like really talk about this stuff, which is so funny because I'm like, this is the least of your problems. But the ones who are really good are the ones who are just always like, who are like, leave no stone unturned, and are just like, and are absolutely like so receptive to feedback, are just like, okay, tell me, just, just tell me what I can do to be better. Okay, great. Doing it tomorrow. Like, and they do. I mean, it's,
Yeah. So they're
and,
doers, action takers, follow
100%.
through.
And are willing, because the thing with what we do, it's like a lot of things I'm going to ask people to do. It's not just go out and do it. It's rearrange other things in your life so you can do it. And that's like the big piece, is because most people that I coach also have families, also have jobs, kids. And so when I'm asking for more from them in terms of like their commitment or their time or whatever, because they're asking me like, what's next? What can I, how can I improve X or Y? It's not simple, right? It's not simple at all. It's not just like, oh, add the thing, because to add the thing, they've got to like move this thing, and and there's so many moving parts, and they're willing to like do that. Because I mean, I think the people who are interested are people who think that you can have it all, and then those are the ones that fall away because they want to like, oh, I want to be an Ironman, but then they realize what that takes in terms of like all the rest of your life. Like, everything has to shift. And I don't like to call them sacrifices because it's just choices of how we spend our time, but not everyone's up for that.
Yeah. Which is one of the last questions I have for you. I'm interested. So I was talking to a friend of mine who's an amazing cheerleader. She's not an athlete, but amazing woman. And she's always like, Ciara, I can't believe it. I'm so proud of you, all the things. And I told her one day, I said, anyone can do an Ironman. She's like, no, nope, they can't. And I said, I actually think that anyone could do one.
Yep.
And I said, look at the physical limitations you see on the course. Look at the age you see on the course. Look at the demographics. Nope. She said, I don't. What do you think? Can anyone?
No, I agree. I truly think, I mean, honestly, 17 hours is like a very, very long time. And I have coached some athletes in my career that, I mean, I've started with people that like can't swim across a pool, cannot do 25. Like, I coached one of my mom's friends, in my early years of coaching, and, she had lost like 80, 100 pounds, like a ton of weight, and was doing those like breast cancer walks. So she was like fit from walking, but could not make it across a 25-yard pool. So like, that's where we were starting. She went on to do, I mean, I don't even know. She probably did 8 Ironmans, and would, plan to and power walk the entire marathon. This is where some people don't realize like how long 17 hours is. Like, you can literally power walk that. People say, I don't run. You don't have to run. And so I do think like anyone who is willing to like put their mind to it and put in the time, not everyone can do an Ironman like this year, but give me like 5 years and anyone can do an Ironman.
Yeah. And I think that's the key. It's anyone can choose to do it.
Yep.
So when I first started training for my first Ironman, I was training for 5Ks. I wanted to get faster and faster at the 5K. I'm like, never doing a 10K again. It's the most worst, horrible, and I will never do a half marathon. That I did one of those. I'm like, that's the worst, awful. I felt horrible, so I'm like, never ever. 5K, it's good. And then decided to do an Ironman, partly because I wanted to do it as like proof to my coaching clients that if you set your mind to something, you get the right coach. Like,
love it.
Part of it was like a teaching thing. And also I'm like, Jim cannot be the only Ironman in the house. Like, there was a lot of that going on too. And so I decided to do it. And I don't know if I ever told you this, but my coach at the time was helping with 5K stuff. So I texted him like, guess what I just did? I signed up for an Ironman. And he came back and said, what distance? Okay. He knows. Yep. You know what he was doing there. And I said, a full Ironman. He said, when? I'm like, in 16 weeks. He goes, I have to have more time than that. And I fired him. I fired him the next morning because I was like, I don't know how to do this.
Right.
And I have to have someone who's like, you're absolutely crazy, but I
Yeah.
believe in you. You got
Yeah.
this. We can do it.
Yeah.
And so I think that's just, going full circle to coaching. When you have something you want to complete, you have a goal, you have a dream, you have a problem you want to solve, you have to find a coach that has your back. Like you can't go into a project with a half-ass coach,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? And so, yeah, I don't think I ever told you that story, but I hired my
That's
first
amazing.
triathlon coach and I'm like, nope. And that was a hard conversation, like to fight. I'm not very confrontational. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not paying you a penny. If you're like, what distance?
I mean, yeah,
No.
no, wrong person for the job. Wrong
Wrong
person
person
for
for
the
job.
job.
And I completed my first Ironman. I completed it, and my first coach got me to the finish line, which is exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
So
you
good.
crushed it. You just came out the gate like yeah. That's
But I
amazing.
did the work. I did not
Yes.
miss any workouts. I'm very proud to say last week on my final surge, everything was green. I like seeing everything green. I can't stand it. So when you give us the workouts where it's more, you don't have a specific thing. So maybe say 2 to 3 hours, then if we do
Yeah.
it, it turns yellow. I hate
Yeah.
that about final surge because I'm like, it's not yellow. It should be green. I did the workout.
Yeah. So do you know
I
what's so
can't.
funny is I could program those things so that you would get your greens and things. But the reason I intentionally, when I write people's programs, I don't always fill in like the prescribed, like in the little box at the bottom, like, I write it in words in your description, but in the bottom I
Yep.
can program in like an hour 30 or X amount of miles, right? So
Yeah.
that's what impacts the green or the yellow.
Yeah.
And I intentionally don't do it consistently. Like one workout I'll put an hour, one workout I'll put miles, sometimes I won't put anything, because when I have my super data, like obsessed people,
Oh, sure.
they get really married to like, I need to be doing X number of miles and X number of hours and this and that. And like, that's not how I coach. Like I literally can like, just like eyeball, like I look at your week in final surge and I'm like, not based on colors, but I just scan every workout and I'm like, okay, the week is complete. I never am adding up. I just know, like it's more art than science. I just know how the
Yeah.
week needs to look. And I also always train that way. Like I didn't, like, I mean, when I was doing, say, a focused running block, I'm trying to run 100 miles every week. That was different. Like there was a target in mind, but, I always just knew my coach gave me this week, I'm going to do all the boxes, and that's good because I did what
Yep.
they asked. I don't know. People would always ask me how many hours you train. Like, I have no idea how many hours I
Well,
train. But
yeah,
they
people
track
are
it.
ask me that. "So how many miles are you running right now?" And I was like, I actually have no idea. I was
Right.
like,
Right.
Hillary gives me like 3 to 4 days of running, maybe. I've never looked, I don't know my
Yeah.
miles. I just, do it. That's really interesting
Yeah.
because we
So
can
that's
get hung up
why,
on the data. Yeah.
yeah. So I intentionally don't do that because like, I don't want it to like populate for them. Like, this many miles, this many hours, because like it's more so because people freak out that it's not enough, which is like funny because my training, if anything's on that side of like the high side. But yeah, so I don't want them to be able to like see that. I mean, they can go add it up themselves, but I don't want it to feed it to them. So that's why it's
Well, I had all green last week. That's how it
okay.
felt. And I was like, it's so pretty. Look at that.
Funny.
Oh my goodness. All right. In closing, we have to talk about Kona. How many
Yes.
times have you been to Kona
Oh,
yourself racing?
racing. Oh, I don't even know. Isn't that bad? I don't even know. I raced twice as an age grouper, and I raced 3 to 4 times as a pro in the Ironman, and I raced the Ultraman, which is a world championship, like 2+ Ironman distances over 3 days. It's a stage race, and that circumnavigates the island. And I did that twice.
Jeez.
So yeah,
See
it's
why I
bad. I don't
said you're
even know.
intense when we started? I'm like intense. So did you like the full or the ultra? What did you like better distance
Well,
wise?
I mean, I'm much better suited to the ultra distance. Like that's my
Okay, so
jam. The longer, the
endurance is
better.
your jam.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was, that was special. But then there's nothing like the Hawaii Ironman and the energy and just I
Yeah.
grew up, not grew up, but in my college and like post-college years, like I probably still have those VHS tapes somewhere, much to my husband's dismay. But I mean, I had like literally every single word of the 2001 Hawaii Ironman broadcast on NBC memorized. I watched that thing so many times. So like I still have those like magical images in my mind, and there's just nothing like the Hawaii Ironman for
I
that.
know. Yeah, we watched it. It was really fun because I was going through the airport. This was before, no, this must have been after because I had my Hawaii gear on. And one of the TSA agents was like, wait. And I was like, what did I do? He's like, were you in Kona? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, at the one like that's on TV? And I said, yeah. He's like, I watch that every year. And I'm like, I got to race it.
Gosh.
So that's so much fun. But you had such a successful season this year at Kona because every single one of us athletes of yours
Yep.
finished strong.
Yep.
And I knew quite a few people from this area that went, and they all finished, but did not have good days.
That's so interesting.
And out on the course, it's not interesting because I know how you coach and I know how they coach. So it's not interesting to me. But both Bella and I had phenomenal days. Like, people ask me, how was the day? And it was amazing. I said, no, like it hurt and I did not feel good. I had a whole bout of like, my tummy wasn't settled and things like that. So physically, I didn't feel amazing, but mentally I felt just awesome. Like Bella and I both, we loved it. Like we got to enjoy the day to the fullest.
Yeah.
And your athletes all had awesome days. And so I just want to applaud you because that's a big deal to have an entire team. And it made me think when you made that post about all of us, that we finished and we finished strong, to remind people how important it is to not just get a good coach, but to be surrounded with good peers in whatever you're going through. Because that makes a big difference. So tell me how excited, how proud you were of your day in Kona with your
proud.
team.
I mean, we had 19 women like that, and everybody, I mean, it's wild. It's so unusual to have like that ratio of people have a good day. And the majority of the women were, 14 of them were first timers on the island, and it's very, very common, especially in that race, for your first time there. It is such a unique beast, and it's super common to have a really tough time your first day in Hawaii. There's no shame in that. I mean, it's a really tough thing to do. But we tried our best to really ready everyone for what to expect. And we were fortunate to have a number of these women come to Ohio in the thick of summer and do some really gnarly training. And it's like heat, humidity. And every session we were just like, okay, this is like this part of Hawaii. And everybody, I feel like, was just between that and we, just did our best to kind of explain like what this was all going to be like. And then of course to assign the appropriate, training plans leading up to it. That I feel like people were really like ready for the madness. And we did have one of the things that I really focus on with our business is our community, because I think we have such a strong community of athletes who come to us because they're not looking for the magic bullet training program. That's not what we sell. Other people do sell that. I don't sell that. So we tend to have like-minded people come to us. And so I really try to facilitate like any opportunity to get our people together, like in person, virtually, because they all just like feed each other, and everybody like gets pushed and gets stronger by being kind of around each other. And I think we saw that in Kona. Like, everybody was out there on the day, and like nobody wanted to be the one who wimped out in the lava fields. Like everyone was like, do it.
Joy was behind me. I know, Joy, you're going to be listening to this. And I saw her and I was like, geez, she's going to catch me again. I can't let her but in a good way. Like also, oh, Joy, like you've got this, you know, like we're cheering each other on, but we're also not going to be the one left behind.
Yeah. And I mean, with that number of women, like you guys were all over the course. And so it was just like, there was no hiding, and be it from me, Coach Alyssa, like between all the women who were out there racing, like they were everywhere. And so everyone's like just keeping each other honest and on task. And it was truly a remarkable day in terms of the level of performances that we saw turned in from our athletes. I mean, I'm not often like terribly surprised. Like I like to think that I know typically like what to expect, but what I know about Kona is there's just usually at least one person who ends in tears, and nobody. I mean, it was just really It was so special. It was so
Yeah.
special. It was amazing. And to have the all women's event, I mean, it was just absolutely
I know.
another
Just
level.
so cool. Yeah, the
Yeah.
first time. So that's neat. I know, I think going back to the trusting the process, that's when literally I remember being out on the bike and like thinking, oh yeah. There's so many times Bella and I were riding on the trace and I was like, oh, really? Oh, do we have to do like we would complain to each other, or I was out there alone and you know how your brain talks. So I was like, okay, what would she do? What would Hillary even do if I was just like, I'm done at 80? You know, and you're
Yeah.
not going to do it, but you're talking to yourself,
Yeah.
and then you turn around and do another 20-mile loop, and it's so hard. And like, geez, we've done how many of these 100-milers? Like, no one else in our triathlon community here did that. So they're all like bugging out at 56. They're like, oh, I'm down to 60. And I was like, really? We have 3 more weeks of hundreds, which we saw that then because what happened was they tapered too soon, all of the things, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's when, yeah, so you trust the process and then you get the reward and you're like,
Yeah.
that's why I had to do 8
Yeah.
100-milers, you know,
Yep.
give up all my Saturdays so that I could have the best Sunday of the entire year. So,
Yeah. 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 And
okay.
that's what I was always tell Bella, because I know she was burning the candle at both ends in a major way, you know, with her studies and work and trying to be a teenager and train for the Ironman. And I was like, listen, like, I know you kind of hate me right now, but like, I promise, I just want you to be able to enjoy this day. This is like
Yeah.
such a huge opportunity and such a big day. And everything we're doing right now is to help you to be able to enjoy that day. And like,
Yeah.
and yeah, I think she did definitely feel the benefits, but it is a process to get there. But also, if it weren't so much of a process, it wouldn't be nearly as rewarding. That's the thing,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
if the magic bullet did really work, it's like, yeah, you get the result, which is like cool, but the result is not nearly as like fulfilling if you didn't have to put in the work. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like all that work in itself is part of the reward.
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just seeing like what your body can do and what you're capable of. And it's just, yeah, it's amazing. Well,
Yeah.
this has been super fun. I could talk to
Oh,
you forever. I know.
oh my gosh.
Tell people where they can find you.
Uh,
And yeah, your coaching program and all of the good stuff.
yes. I am Hillary-Biscay.com. Or at Hillary P. Biscay on Instagram, or Biscay Coaching on Instagram. I should probably have a better answer to that. Like, there should be one thing that I direct everyone to. I don't know. I'll refine that at some point.
That's okay. It's all a process. We'll put it in the show notes so everybody can find. But if you've been wondering about the magic woman behind the woman who did the Ironman, those of you that listen and followed me and Bella's journey, this is Hillary. So this is the gal. Okay, I got to tell you one more funny story. So Bella and I were on our bikes last week. It was our first ride together, or whenever we did our first one back after Kona. And we're both on there. And I said, you know, I'm so thankful for Hillary because she's kind of scary. And Bella's like, I know. And I said, but that's good because I know if without a coach and a plan, I would never, like, I wouldn't be someone who would just go to the pool ever.
Yeah.
Like, but if it's in my plan, like, I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah.
So I said, you know, I'm just thankful because I need that. And Bella's like, oh, I know, you know, me too. And so just thanks from both of us for believing in us and cheering us on. And thanks for taking me on as a client. You know, it's nice to slip into your 25 that you have.
Oh, it's such a pleasure.
Awesome.
I love family projects. They're like my fave. They're like husband, wife, mother, daughter. This is which is new to me, but it's so fun. It's so fun. I love working with you guys so much.
It's fun. Okay, one more question. This is a trivia question.
Yes.
Where do you think Bella's going to gain the most time on me in this next block of season? Will it be swim, bike, or run where she'll take off most in the run? That's kind of what I'm thinking.
The surface with her run.
Yep.
And yeah, I'm so excited to see what she can do there. I think, yeah, I mean, I can't even begin to predict, honestly, but yeah, I think that's going to be the big mover this season.
Well, I still get to run with her on the easy run, so that's cool. She has to hang out when they're easy.
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Hillary. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks everyone for tuning in today to this fun episode. Please share it with anyone who's looking at just maybe starting their own triathlon journey. I think it could be really inspiring, or those people who are thinking about getting into the coaching and consulting world. It's just been really fun to visit with my coach, and I really appreciate you all listening. All right. See everyone later. Bye for now.
Hey friend, thank you so much for tuning in today to the Inventory Genius podcast. If there's something that you heard today on the podcast episode and you want to dig deeper into becoming an inventory genius yourself, I want to invite you to head on over to my website, ciarastockeland.com, where I have multiple ways that you and I can work together on your inventory. I want to help you with your profit, your cash flow, and your paycheck, because at the end of the day, it's all related to your inventory. So head on over to the website, connect with me. I'll work with you soon. See you then. Hey there, friend. So I've already invited you to grab your copy of the Inventory Genius book. But if you're ready to go a step further and dive in, if you want a quick start to becoming an inventory genius, then I want to also invite you to grab your seat and the Quick Start to Inventory Genius course. This really easy to digest course is going to include all the tools, spreadsheets, and systems you need to implement the Inventory Genius method immediately in your business. We'll talk about creating an open to buy plan. We'll talk about creating a profit plan. We'll talk about creating a business budget. And then we cap it all off with a private one-on-one call, you and me. Yep, that's right. The Quick Start to Inventory Genius course includes a one-on-one coaching call with me. So you can go through the book, you can go through the Quick Start to Inventory Genius course, you can write down your questions, and then you and I can get on the phone and problem solve together. Head on over to ciarastockeland.com, grab your seat at the Quick Start to Inventory Genius course. See you there.